Excuse me. Get your off the record merch while you're at it. Uh, what's up, good people? Off the Record podcast is here. Another live edition. The real off the record. Matter of fact, I'm gonna let Quan tell you why we're the real off the record. Quan, tell the people why we're the real off the record.
Well, for one, because we started this first, off the record. This
And
is
we
what
had
we
the name
started with.
first.
We had the name first, so we are
So
the
it's
authentic.
another cat out here using the name. Cool. I'm just saying we had the name first. My lawyer's on deck. I keep saying that every week, but I got to say it every week.
They
Anyway.
may be over east right now, but
Yeah, it will be. I mean, over east, wherever we got lawyers and they ready. That's what that's all I'm saying. But he keep it cool. We keep it cool. I just want the people to know why we the real off the record. Anyway, listen, it's two of us today. It's probably the first time. I think this is the first time ever me and Quan doing an episode together without the other two. We couldn't find them. I don't know where they at. They might end up in the chat. Who knows where those brothers at?
or they could just be playing Eddie Kane tonight. I don't know.
They could be, or they Bobby Brown in the night. Either way, they they playing Bobby Brown. They ain't want to show up to rehearsal. They ain't want to show up to the recorded session. Whatever. But Alex and Brandon will be back next week. I can promise you that. But for now, it's me and Quan in the saddle, and we about to give y'all a good dope episode real quick. Quan, you brought this to the group's attention or to me anyway, that you um wanted to talk about. Well, you were talking about the Michael Beasley interview when he was on the pivot,
Yeah.
and someone this morning in our thread had posted a clip. I think it was Butter had posted a clip of the interview, and I had heard that the interview was dope. I just hadn't had a chance to watch it, and then you talked about how you saw it and some of the things how watching the interview was tough for you, for a couple of reasons, and which is why I wanted us to get on wax and discuss this situation, because I mean it kind of hit home for us, right? Like, Michael Beasley is a DMV native, so um, we knew who Michael Beasley was before the world got to know who Michael Beasley was, because his name was carrying weight around this area, um, as a basketball player. But to really get to see the inside scoop from his perspective of his true story, was really really interesting, and it turned out to be a dope interview. Like, it was probably one of the best slash realest interviews that I've seen in a long time. um but at the same time it was a little hard to watch, because you know you could see a brother that's going through some things on the screen, um, and that's always hard to watch. So, why did this interview in particular stick out to you, Quan? Like, why was this something that you wanted to get on wax and discuss?
Well, for one, just like you mentioned, Mike, you know, he's a DMV native. He's from the Suitland area, Southern Maryland area, and we got a chance to actually see him play basketball. We always heard about him, So at the same time, it was something to where like we also wanted to kind of get a broader horizon on him outside of basketball, because you always kind of saw him as a kind of quiet guy and a guy that kind of really didn't do too much, you know what I'm saying? But other than play basketball, you really didn't really know anything outside of him other than like, him playing basketball. And, like I said, we've seen him from high school, you know what I mean? Seen him from college to the pros, his NBA career, and for the most part, he's kind of been quiet. He hasn't really said anything too much, and to now actually see him actually come out and express this, this particular issue of what's been going on with him, and just for him to shine and spread that, shine that light, and just to get a chance for him to open up, you know, and talk about what's been going on with him, just as far as his life, basketball, his past, his upbringings, things of that nature. I mean, it was it was brave for him to see him actually come out and talk about that. And also, like you said, the interview with the pivot, um, Channing Crowder, Fred Taylor, and I'm sorry,
Ryan Clark.
Ryan Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, they and with Michael Beasley, all four of them together made a really great interview,
Mm-hmm.
and they were able actually to spread light and to show some type of, um, something to where everybody needs to kind of see and to kind of probably pretty much understand and get a chance just to look at it from that man's perspective and what was going on in his life, man. So it was a really great interview, and it was really eye opening to see what was going on with him, and just for him to talk about what was
Yeah,
going on.
you raised some good points. One being the importance of him sitting down and talking on the pivot, and the pivot giving him that platform because he continued to talk about narrative, right, and the narrative that was written for him. He feels like um, everybody else in a sense gets to write their own narrative. All of his peers got to write their own narrative in a sense, but he didn't. And they wanted to make a point that, like, yo, we don't work for anybody. This is not ESPN. This ain't, any of those major networks. Like, yo, we're not editing this. Like, yo, get this off your chest. Like, write your own narrative right now. And to see how that affects him is another thing that stood out to me, right? Because they tell you when you in the limelight, man, you these athletes, you these entertainers, one of the things they tell you is, you got to have thick skin, right? And then we just as the consumer or the watcher, like, we assume that they got thick skin, right? We assume that this type of stuff, people talking about you, people highlighting the bad things about you, is just a part of what comes with it, right? So to get an inside look of how it actually affects him, and it still affects him to this day, clearly. Um, so I thought that was interesting, man. Like, in the I mean, they're human, right? And he brought that back for me to look at him like, yo, these guys are just human. What I
Yeah,
mean? They had the same feelings that we do. They just got a lot more money than we may have. But but
yeah, they have way more access than we have, and we can go places and do things. And um, but like you said, Mike, at the end of the day, they're humans.
yeah.
They're they all we all have the same heartbeat. You know what I mean? Um, so we all have feelings, we all have emotions. You know what I mean? So like, there's no difference in that. And like I said, for him just to talk about his upbringings,
Mm-hmm.
though, that you can tell within that self that's traumatic, and those are things that he still holds. You know what I mean? He obviously
Yeah.
still holds on to this day. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, doesn't
I
matter how
mean,
much money he has. It's just
again,
crazy.
yo, and then you assume, again, he grew up in this area, right? So you assume that everything is good with his upbringing, right? He can hoop, so he gonna get the best of the best. He one of the best in the state, not just the state, one of the best in the country. So he gonna get the best of the best. But to hear, you know, how he went to 7 different high schools, you know what I mean? And then when they opened the interview up with the question like that. Yeah, we know you went to about 4 or 5 different high schools, and he was like, yo, actually 7. And even when you hear that, you thinking like, oh yeah, he went because of basketball, right? We seen the guy who goes to, the shirt like you got on the lake, right? Where you and OTR Brandon attended and a lot of our homeboys attended. But we seen that athlete that outshined what the lake could offer. So then they moved to a private school, right? Or a bigger and better public school that can offer a little more competition. And then they go to college. So you just assume that it was his talent that took him to these other high schools.
Yeah,
And to hear him say nah, because we got evicted every 6 months. Like, it's like,
yeah, that's
damn.
damn. You
You know
know,
what I mean?
that has to hit. That has to hit hard. You know what I mean? No place. You know what I mean? No place where you can really call. You can't. A place you can't settle and call home. You know,
Right.
as a
Right.
young boy, as a young man, like I mean, yo, that's just that's yeah, that was really hard to hear. You know what I mean?
Very, very traumatic upbringing for him. That you, like you said, it still has some type of effect on him now. Um, from the evictions to his mom like being in his life but not being around, working three jobs to take care of him and his siblings. From you know, he also made a good point when he said, "Man, we thought we were straight. You don't know you living in the hood until somebody who not living in the hood come over and they point out how you got roaches or
Yeah,
something like that."
yeah,
And um, his family being in the street life and things like that, man, it's just like, yo, this dude really had a traumatic upbringing. I mean, we remember hearing his name along with KD in this area.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, oh shit, these dudes, the future is bright.
But it's
But
crazy
to
because like,
find, yeah, but to find out like basketball, like he even said that. Like, I don't even think, the people around me found basketball for me. You know what I mean? I ain't like it at first.
mm-hmm,
They the ones who told me I was good. They realized before I did, or realized for me that I was good in basketball.
yeah,
So just interesting. Interesting story, man. And like I said, one of the best interviews that I've seen, man. What are some of the other things that you know that he discussed in his early upbringing and other parts that stuck out to you?
well, for just like you said, you know, his mother working three jobs, and him and his brother, you know what I mean, pretty much having to take care of each other. And one of the things that stuck out to me when he was saying that his younger brother knew how to make lasagna.
At 7.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
40 and I still don't know how to make lasagna. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right.
and you know, for the things like to have that particular upbringing, have to like grow up at the age of 7. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
especially in
Hmm.
an environment that is, I mean, it's all different type of things going on in that particular environment. You know what I mean? It's just destitute. Like it's just so much stuff. You know what I mean that you can get into that's negative.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? At the age of 7 and probably at the age of like I guess 13, 14. Having to take care of yourself, man. Like um that the fact of him understanding that once he got to like the NBA and like all the money he had, like how he felt like people was like just took money from him. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? From like his family to like, people that was working, I guess the agents and um I guess when it came to endorsements, whatever, like people were just taking, taking money from him.
Yeah.
Um
He felt like he couldn't trust nobody. Like he said to this day he hasn't had anybody around him that hasn't taken from him besides his kids. And that's wild, yo.
yeah,
That's wild. And that's a crazy, crazy, crazy way to live. Shout out to Lunch Break Hot Take in the house. What up? What up? What up?
lunch
Hey,
break.
anybody watching this, man, go subscribe to those brothers. They on the road to 1,000. They getting close. And they got something special in store. Also, they're my co-hosts on Ring Kings podcast. So make sure you subscribe to that as well. Just search
Yeah,
it up. We on there. We probably one of the best boxing podcasts we got out here. Shout out to them.
they
But
put the
yeah, man.
cart.
Yeah, but like I, I just I couldn't imagine. Like I said, it was a tough watch. It was I was engaged. You know what I mean? I didn't want to miss any parts of it, but it was hard to watch, because like eh, I didn't know the brother went through that much, yo. I didn't, and it's just another part that it proves to the judge in the book by its cover. And I think that was the point of his interview and what he was saying. Like, yo, I gotta walk out this door and have people talking about me based off of something that they heard or a narrative that was created about me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And they were trying to tell him like, yo, you can change that. This is your opportunity to change that. But I feel him like, yo, I just couldn't imagine walking out my door and feeling like, the world is against me. Now you got two people. You got people like him who it still affects, and then you got people who say I don't give a fuck. But like you ain't right or wrong on either side. If it bothers you, it bothers you, yo.
Yeah,
And um
I agree.
and I'll never, chastise him for it bothering him. But I don't know, man. Like I said, this one hit close to home. But again, because he's a local kid, it hit close to home. But it was, if it didn't, anybody that's seen the interview, if it didn't tug at your heartstring a little bit, then you got ice water in your veins.
And the thing about it is, man, like it's, you remember one point in time, like he was better than Durant.
I mean,
I'm talking
yeah.
about high school, like like I'm talking about when it came to like now NBA. No, that's a whole nother topic. You know what I mean? College is a whole nother topic. Like,
well, even in college,
they were neck and neck really in college too. You know what I'm saying?
They
like
both were beasts.
They both were like that in college. So, but to see, you know what I mean, that particular story, and just like you said, just to see like, it doesn't matter if he has money, like the things that he was still going through. And like you could tell he's a dude that's kind of to himself. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But he just, he ain't nothing to play with. You know what I mean? At the same time, you can look and tell that as well. So also the other part that kind of struck me was when he was like, all he did was just like, all he does really actually was like play. He's home
and he hoop,
and that's all he does. So at the same time, that's just like, that kind of like tugged at me too at the same time, because it's like, and when Channing Crowder was talking to him and he was like, look,
come over.
Yeah, like, that ain't good, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need to like kind of get out and like be around kind of things, people, social a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like just sitting at home hooping, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that ain't gonna do it. That's not gonna do it. That's not gonna help you be able to like, broaden your horizons and maybe get things off your chest. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And to that point, I think, Channing had a good point with that about him getting out. Ryan Clark had a good point about, that as well about him getting out. I think Fred Taylor, his point stuck out to me the most, because he was trying to explain to Beasley that, your story is, is going to help a lot more people than you think. Like your testimony is big. You know what I mean? And you need to get out here and, help these people and start, sharing your story a little bit more. And you just don't know how many people that it would help. And I don't think Beasley, I don't think he recognizes that yet, which is okay. He just want hoop, right? I just want ball. And to that point, like I don't see, it's a lot of, well, when I use the word bum, relative to what's going on in the NBA, but I don't see how he ain't on the roster or he can't get a look.
I thought he was playing. I thought he was still playing.
Nah, I think the last he played, I think he was overseas. I think he was in China, I believe. And to the COVID, I think COVID popped off and he came back home. But yeah, he hasn't played. And I think he's lobbied, you know what I mean? He's lobbied for a look. I just don't see how and why. I mean, I guess that whole,
man, the Wizards need to pick him up.
You get labeled, you know what I mean, as somebody, like he said, they call me crazy and I got issues and that's X, Y, and Z, and now nobody want to touch him. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to see the young boy going through that, but it was a part within the interview that I wanted to highlight, and I got the clip drawn up. Right, we probably gonna get flagged for this shit, but I want to play it anyway because this is the main part, in my opinion, of this interview. Where actually he showed emotion, he started crying and everything, but he made some points in here that made you think. So I'm gonna play it real quick, Quan, and then I want your opinion and your thoughts on it.
In our background, they really, they
fight.
They fight and they bust.
But everybody just sit there and laugh, like Antoine Walker go through whatever he go through. Motherfuckers just sit there and make jokes. Allen Iverson was a fucking joke for a while until everybody found out that shit wasn't true. He turned. It's like, bro, no, bro. Being black is so fake right now. It's like motherfuckers only care when it's time for somebody to die and the cameras to show. It's like, bro, motherfuckers is out here showing every day that they need help. It's in the music, and we only listen to it till these die. It's like, bro, everybody out here need help, and everybody walking around this motherfucker like they got it all together.
I'll be the first to tell you, I don't.
Everybody walking, and then the second time, like, bro, Dwight Howard cried on TV, right? They called the nigga soft. What the fuck he was going through on the inside? He had to fucking hold on to where he fucking cried in front of 20 million people. How about somebody ask that question? You dig what I'm saying?
You're right.
It's just so much that motherfuckers go through, and it's like, bro, they like niggas. It's on front street. It's just like until a motherfucker break down or die, it's like, it makes sense now. It makes sense now. And
Mike, you.
Yo, he hit on some points there that I'm like, he's right. I mean, I probably was one of the ones that laughed at the wife for crying on TV. I probably called him soft. You know what I mean? So to hear him say it in that, in that light, in that way, it's like, yo, you right. I mean, we don't know what he was going through at that moment that made him cry on live TV. You know what I'm saying? And just the fact that, it is made light of, and people joke about these things when they see these huge athletes, share some type of emotion, crying, whatever, having a weak moment too, whatever, if you want to call it a weak moment. He put it in perspective for me, Quan. Like, what's your thoughts on that clip? How you feel about that?
I feel that it was just honest, and it was a real clip, and it's abstract. You can't really put anything on it. I think everything that he said was he wanted to get it off his. Obviously, he was passionate. He needed to get it off his chest, and he wasn't wrong in what he said. I don't think he was wrong at all. He said you hear it in the music, you see it in TV, you see it on social media.
Bro, you hear it in the music. I mean, people crying, people asking for help every day.
Every single day. And then, when you see, just like he was referring to like Delonte West.
Yes.
And and people think that it's fun and games and it's a joke, and that you know what I mean, like it's funny. But it ain't funny to when you see someone on the side of the road like that, you know what I'm saying, begging for help. There's nothing funny about that. You know what I mean?
Well, and to his point, he was saying like, yo, and he said no disrespect to Delonte West, but does it have to get that bad for people to realize or recognize that someone needs help?
No help.
And that's another factual point. You got millionaires out here. These guys got millions of dollars. Dwight Howard, him, had lots of money. And, they still need help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And instead of calling these cats crazy, you know what I mean?
And passing that off, and just saying that they're crazy. It's just, it's hurtful, man. It's sickening. You know what I mean? Like that people can't even give a reaching a helping hand. You know what I'm saying? Like they think that because when people got money, just like you said, people walking around here like and talking about money and all this other stuff, think that everything is okay. But like, it's people walking around here that really, really, suffering, going through things.
Yeah.
So I think he put that into perspective, and I think he was just able to speak his mind. You know what I mean? And
I think the beauty in the interview too is that it came from his perspective, his point of view, his way of explaining it, right? So there's a whole demographic of people who can relate to him in the way that he portrayed it, right? You got somebody who could articulate it in the best way possible, right? Which is also good, and you got people that would understand that and would reach more. But for him to be the stature he is, where he's from, how he's talking. There's a lot of people that talk like that that's going through and feeling the same way that he is, but just don't know that they're going through what he's going through, or some type of, he may be having some type of a mental breakdown or whatever the case may be. He mentioned in the interview that he's tired. And I think that shook all of them up. Like, yo, what you mean you tired? You know what I mean? Like, nah, you ain't giving up. Like, yo, we here. Like, yo, you in Miami, yo, we in Miami. Like, yo, let's get up and let's, let us be your sounding board. And
Yeah.
again, man, I think he's 33 years old, young. And to see a young man that had it all at one point in time in his life, to be struggling like that, man, it was heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And again, I think I would feel this way if it was anybody, but just the mere fact that he's a Maryland DMV native, and we've heard, like I said, we kind of watched his growth through rec league, through high school, through college and NBA. It was hard to stomach, but he's absolutely on point with the crying out for help has been in music. You got Triple X, you got Mac Miller, you got a bunch of these guys,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who've been putting it out there in music, and we rocking to it instead of actually listening and paying attention to what this person might actually be going through. So I think he killed it. Go ahead, Quan.
No, I just think it's like the robot. You know what I mean? Like people think that it's just like as a man or as that person that may have X, Y, and Z that you're just supposed to just keep going, keep pushing, and like obviously, like I said, what he was going through was traumatic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everything all of it. Even playing in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like going to a particular situation where you don't have the resources. You know what I mean? You never had that much money, and then all of a sudden you get thrown into a particular city, and you have all type of resources. You can at your disposal, at your will. You can go do whatever, and you're 17, 18, 19. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot. You can get into a lot. You can do a lot. And so, like, if you don't have the right people around you, or if you don't understand what to do with it, it could be damaging. It could be, it could be a lot to deal with. So that within itself could be, obviously traumatic because he was talking about part of it. Yeah, man. I just, I just hope, I hope the best for him. Honestly, you know what I mean. I hope, he can get the things, or he can get the assistance that he needs, man. Because obviously it's a cry for help, and obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. He's looking, or he's trying to search some type of way, or search for something. So at the end of the day, man, I really, really hope the best for him and pray for him, man. You know what I mean. Things get better for him.
Yeah, it's a cry for help, but a little bit of male pride sprinkled in there, right? Because they asked him like, "Yo, what's your relationship with KD? Have you reached out to KD? Have you called him?" And he kept saying like, "I don't want to put my problems on anybody else, and I don't want to portray my issues on anybody else." And I clearly 100% that's a part of the male ego. Like we just feel like we can break through whatever it is, no matter what. And we're just built and bred to believe that we can do that. And I think Ryan Clark even spoke on it as well about, black men and women are kind of taught to believe that they can carry everything on their back alone. And you can't. You know what I mean? And we spoke about this on Off the Record before, the real Off the Record. That, we don't shy away from talking about mental health and things like that. And we have a whole episode based off of a black man's mental health. And how in some places it's like he said, you kind of looked at as being soft for saying that you're struggling with something. You know what I mean? And I think it's that, it's nothing wrong with being an alpha male and stuff like that. I do think that some people have the wrong mindset, the wrong definition of alpha male, right? You know what I mean? Like, being an alpha male don't mean that you don't need some assistance in certain things, right? Like, if you fucking go out here and trip and break your leg tomorrow, I hope you're gonna go to the hospital.
Yeah,
right?
because the alpha in your ass is
Right.
help your leg. You know what I'm saying? You better go to the doc. You know what I mean? Yeah,
You better, yeah. Like, so, it just comes to I think, and we, like I said, we said this on another episode, that things have changed, times have changed. It's time for men, black men, to take their mental health seriously, and their own peace seriously. You know what I'm saying? And um, they'll stop trying to live in that era that our parents lived in. I'm sure that's what they were taught. Like, yo, nah, men don't cry, men don't have weakness. And I even had a point in there when he started to cry. He pointed out that, yo, I don't have a problem crying in front of grown men, because if you call me soft, I'll whip your ass. So he had to even resort to the alpha side of that just to prove. But it's just like, yo, it's cool. Yo, you in front of people that's giving you a safe space. Like, yo, cool, get all of that shit out.
Yeah.
So, I'm with you. I hope that he gets the help that he needs. I hope that this brought more awareness to people who know him, who might not have been taking it serious, to what he was going through, and now know that, yo, this brother might need you to reach out to him. And then even people in the NBA, right? And not just the players, executives, owners who he used to, for teams that he used to play for. Reach out to him, man. Get this dude some, help him out. And I'm not saying from a monetary sense, because I think that he's okay. He seems to be okay in that route. But like, put him in the right direction of what he could give him clearly all he wants to do is be around basketball, right? Right now he believes he can still play, and he probably could. But the fact of the matter is what the guys were trying to tell him is like, yo, it comes a time where it ends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that basketball is his life, right? Yo, give him a little job in with the team, or the front office. Give him something around basketball that, I'm sure you can use his knowledge of the game or something. Something. Point him in the direction of where he can get involved in working with basketball.
Yeah, because that gives him an outlet, and that can open up his mind and to be able to create and do other things. You know what I mean? And to be able to assess and help believe in himself. You know what I mean? Like that, and that's what it's about. Like you said, the basketball IQ is already there, but you know what I mean. The acumen may not. You know what I'm saying? But that could, things like that could be taught. You know what I mean? And so giving him a particular opportunity to do something, man, like it should be that. It should be that for him. You know what I mean? Like, so at the end of the day, man, like you said, and making sure that somebody check on him, check on your homie or something, man, because it could be something that small or something, or just a call, or just a, hey, how you doing? You all right? What's going on? It could be really beneficial, and it could probably help out a lot. So, like I said, man, I hope the best for him. Hope as well for him. And I hope he gets a particular opportunity in the NBA, or maybe somewhere else. But also too, hopefully that he can kind of see that basketball is it's so much bigger than the monetary sense of it, or or the money sense of it. And that's what one of the things that Ryan Clark was trying to get him to kind of understand, and trying to maybe try to open up and see, like, yo, you can do so many other things because you have a story to tell.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could still use basketball as a tool to be able to assist, in upbringing, of helping up, kids that come from the same background that you come from, or people that come from the same background as you come from. You know what I mean? So being able to use that and a light, you know what I mean, to be beneficial to help others, man. Like, he can really do it. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
also part of that too is him being able to see it in that particular light.
Yeah, and it's crazy that this became a topic for us because you and I had a discussion earlier today, like just about different, grief, and if we, you know what I've been through. I lost both of my parents in the same year. You lost a good amount of people recently over the last year. Um, so we were just discussing that randomly, like, yo, how's that still affecting you to this day? Did you, have you gone to any grief counseling, anything like that? And so I'm glad that you brought this to um, the light. And I'm glad that you and I decided to just say, yo, come on, let's get on and talk about it because I think it's important. Um, you know, just just from a sense of two black men being able to discuss, the importance of what mental health and you know, being strong as you can in that department. Just what it means. Just what it means to just live in a successful and prosperous life, and you don't hear people talking about it that much. You know what I mean? Especially us. You don't hear men talking about it. You know what I mean? And so I'm glad, one, that we're here. Two, I'm glad that he even took that interview with them because they said, yo, they didn't plan for it to go that route and everything, and things happen for a reason. So I'm glad that he took it. Um, and now we're here. What up, Suge? Shout out to my man Suge. And he's right. Mental health is always important. To Suge's point, you know,
Absolutely.
I think sometimes men are left out of that discussion. You know what I mean? And sometimes we leave ourselves out because of these narratives are set that we are supposed to be strong and handle everything. And there's a lot of time. I know a lot of dudes that walk out the door in the morning and have a moment in the car because they don't want to show it to anyone else.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I shared earlier with you like how I felt I didn't give myself the proper time to grieve the loss of my parents because I wanted to make sure people around me got to grieve. So I neglected that side. And then it didn't do anything but later on in life or later on down the line kick me in the ass.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So now I'm about to be 40 next week, people. Make sure y'all say happy birthday to me. I want the full out. I want the Stevie Wonder version of the happy birthday anyway. But going into my year 40, like I'm all about protecting my peace, yo. I got that in my mind that I'm protecting my peace
Man,
as I turn 40. And that is at all costs, even from work to outside of work to anything, yo, I'm protecting my peace. Because
yeah,
yo, 40
ab-
getting older, bro. Need to be on top of that type shit.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, that's well said, man. That's something to where, I mean, you hit the the nail on the, I mean, the head on the nail. You know what I mean? Like it's so important for us, you know what I mean, as men to understand our, protecting our peace and making sure that um we do what we need to do for our mental side. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so important. We do the things for our physical side. We do the things, you know what I mean, for our family. We do the things. Um, it's just making sure that we can be productive men out here, and it's so important to make sure that you know that we do the things that we need to do to to have the positive life and to have that what I'm saying, that peace. And so like just like you said, reaching out to your homeboys, your buddies, now the things that we've been doing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, it's just as friends, as cliques, what I'm saying, like we've been trying to like make sure we talk and discuss more and reach out to each other more and
Mm-hmm.
get with each other and have fellowship and those things help out a lot. They help out a lot, you know what I mean, especially the older that you get, and you begin to understand that everybody are all going through particular things, but when we come together, man, and you know, we talk and have great times. Those are the things that really help out. Um, and so doing the things that, you know, that can assist with, like you said, with your peace and you know, being around like minded, you know what I mean, family and friends and brothers and things of that nature, man. So all that helps out a lot, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
overall in general, for that. So just making sure, man, that, you know what I mean, we be there for one another, you know.
Word. And I left this shout out to Ravens Online Ungatekeepers, man. Subscribe over there too. My brother over there doing his thing as well. Ravens Talk. We had an interesting few couple days, so he touched on all of that. So go over there and check that out. But I left this comment up, which is who do the supporters have to support them? And this is exactly what I ended up feeling like when I reached my point. Um, like, you know, I tried to be something. I tried to step in the shoes of my dad, right? Who was the protector of this entire family. And trying to keep everything together and stuff like that, and try to keep, uh, you know, like I said, the people who was having such a hard time with the year that my family had with losing my parents. Um, you know, when I got to that point, I felt exactly like that. Like, yo, I felt I was a supporter, but who was there to support me when I needed that support? You know what I mean? And because it had been some years that passed, I guess people thought that I was okay, and rightfully so, because I did a good job of at least showing that I was okay. I thought I was okay, right, with what happened in the year that I had. Um, so yeah, man, like if you go through anything traumatic, any loss, anything like that, man, don't wait like I did, because you're gonna feel exactly like this, and then you start to resent the people around you, right? Because you're like, yo, where y'all at? I was there for y'all. Where you at for me? So I don't ever want to get back to that point. I don't recommend that you get to that point either. But it's a real thing. That's a real question. Yeah, man. Joining the 40 Club, bro.
Yeah.
40 Club on
40
next Tuesday.
Get
Your
ready.
boy got the creaky knees is coming.
Yeah. It's there. It's
Yeah, it's already been there. It's already been there. But yeah, Quan, I said we were only gonna go 30 minutes, but we a little bit over that. But we gonna shut it down at this point, man, and we gonna close it out like we always do. Quan, any last thing, any last word for the people?
Hey, we appreciate y'all coming out, checking us out, supporting us, and everything. To follow us. Hey, look, it was a 2-man show, a 2-man band. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't cool. Everybody wasn't all cool in the gang. It was a 2-man band, but hey, you know, it was a great show. We made it work, and we really touched a good topic tonight, man. And at the end of the day, make sure that your family and your folks are straight, man. Just, you know, be a single call or just whatever, just to touch, you know, touch bases and make sure everybody's okay. Um, and at the end of the day, I hope everybody's good and have a great evening.
Yes, well said. So in closing, I'll say this: take your mental health seriously. Um, if you haven't saw the interview on the pivot with Michael Beasley, please go look at it. It's 40 little, I think it's 43 minutes. It's well worth that 43 minutes. Really, really good interview. Like I said, one of the best interviews, one of the most raw um, interviews that I've seen in a long, long time. So go and check that out. I pray and hope that that brother gets the help that he needs, and that the people around that saw it also are reaching out to him as we speak. I hope that's happening. Um, but in the meantime, man, subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Facebook at OTR_podcast, OTR_podcast on Instagram, OTR_pod on Twitter, and then Off the Record Podcast here on YouTube. Give us a subscribe, a like, and all of the above. Also, go follow Ring Kings Podcast It's about to be a busy month for us coming up with the boxing content. So if you're a boxing fan, you don't want to miss that. That's where it's all gonna be. I guess until next time, man. Brandon and Alex, we'll find you cats somewhere. I don't know where y'all at, but we'll find y'all next week, I guess. To the rest of everybody in the comments, appreciate y'all. Davon, Jose, Suge, Ravens Online, everybody, man. We appreciate you. Yo, this is all. First of all, before we close, this is all the LBHT crew that showing love to me. I'm a part of that crew too.
Hey, appreciate y'all.
But
I'm a syndicate of that crew too. You know what I mean?
They're all in here. They're all supporting. And we're in the midst of a fantasy draft right now, so it's getting real. It's a lot of war room talk going on within the Discord. So if you want any part of any of that type of stuff, you got to go to LBHT or Lunch Break Hot Take. Follow their channel. Follow them on all their social medias as well. Everybody, man, look, we gonna holler at y'all. We out of here. Remember what I said. Off the Record Podcast, man. The real Off the Record Podcast. Tell that dude I got lawyers. Tell him I got lawyers for him, man. Quan.
And they over east too, and over west.
I'm saying, you want to say anything to him? People say I go too hard. I'm bringing smoke to a situation no need to. So you might be a little more common than me. Do you want to tell these people, or you good? You good where we at?
I'm great where we at. I'm great.
All right, you good where we at?
You laid it down for me. Let them know.
I'm just saying, I gotta say it every episode about 2 or 3 times. Off the Record Podcast, the real Off the Record Podcast, the real Off the Record Podcast. We out, people. Peace.